Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Damn good coffee and hot.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
Not today. Not today again. There's no funny left in the world. Is there? Maybe there is. Yeah, you know what? Maybe there is. But I don't know. We got Lori. Lori brings a little bit of funny today. Minute and 20 seconds worth of funny. And then what is supposed to be a 2-hour program, which is going to be a 1-hour program. Minute and 20 seconds of funny. That's all we got. Anyway, good morning, folks. It is Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023. A lot of 23s in there. August 23rd, 2023. I hope it's a beautiful day wherever you are. You notice I'm wearing kind of a jacket here. Not kind of a jacket with some woolly, fuzzy, warm, fuzzy things. Well, you don't notice that if you're on the radio. What am I thinking? I'm not thinking. I want to go back to bed. I have no guest today, by the way, as predicted. Somewhere like 10 o'clock last night. Sorry, can't make it. Which is why I wasn't promoting the thing. And then I had to throw together an alternative and poster and all that kind of stuff. Very disappointing. But as I said, I am wearing a little jacket here today. Somewhere yesterday, it cooled off here. And I know people in Arizona and wherever in the Northwest where it's baking, probably a little jealous of that. Sorry, but I turned off the AC, opened up the windows, and it's 59 degrees or something. It's, when you're used to it being 90, 59 or 60 feels a little chilly. Now, I'm sure this jacket will come off pretty quickly. It's already starting to warm up here. So we got a cool day here. In the news today, India has gotten into the fake news moon landing game, along with the United States, Russia, and China. Of course, if all the moon landings are fake, then, of course, India is now also a complete faker, too. And nobody would call them on it. Of course, I'm kidding, because the moon landing was real and it's never been faked. But there are still those people who just cling to conspiracy theories and ridiculous notions that we faked it. And I guess if we faked it, they must be faking it too. India has landed its, they're going to make this hard for me to pronounce, Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft on the moon, becoming only the fourth nation to ever accomplish such a feat. The mission could cement India's status as a global superpower. That's not happening. The Gandhi nation is never going to be a superpower. No matter how technologically advanced they get, India rolls over. They rolled over for the British. Come on. India superpower. They're good at telemarketing and support lines. Am I being racist? No, I'm being nationalist, I guess, or anti-nationalist against one nation. It's not a racial thing. It's the country of India. I'm sorry. I'll smack myself later. Would that make you happy if I smack myself later? Or I would make you happy if I smack myself now. I would do it now if that would make you happy. Um, Previously, only the United States, China, and the former Soviet Union have completed soft landings on the lunar surface, as opposed to hard landings, which I would do. If I were driving the thing, it would be a crash landing. Anyway, India's on the moon, not with people yet, but they are closer to the South Pole of the moon. The South Pole of the moon, not the South Pole. Maybe that's where they're filming their fakeness, right? Near the South Pole, no. It's closer to the South Pole than any other spacecraft in history has ventured. The South Pole region is considered an area of key scientific strategic interest for spacefaring nations, as scientists believe the region to be home to water ice deposits. Is where it gets ridiculous. The water, frozen in shadowy craters, could be converted into rocket fuel. Yeah, I see. Try pouring water into your rocket and see how far you get. Could be converted into rocket fuel. Where am I? Or even drinking water for future crewed missions. Drinking water. Are you going to be? We found some water in a puddle at the bottom of the moon. Bottom, South Pole of the moon. It's not bottom of top. Are you going to drink it? Yeah, I got some water. I dug it out of a hole at the South Pole of the moon. You take a swig. Are you going to be the first? I mean, one small step for man, one huge swig for mankind, right? And then all of a sudden you're growing like, oh, forget it. I mean, the horror stories that could come out of drinking moon water, moonshine. Oh, that's a whole different thing, isn't it? Anyway. So, congratulations to India for joining the fake moon landing group. And now, global moon rush. We're working alongside allies such as the United States and France. And France, India is part of the second wave of emerging space powers. The country's space program has become one of the world's busiest in development of exploratory space technology. Because people are figuring out we got to get off this fucking planet before we ruin it completely. The Earth is like a car that you purchased when it was new a long, long time ago. And now the wheels are starting to fall off. The transmission is shot. The engine has got 700 billion miles on it. And it's going to die. And so it's time to find a new planet. But unfortunately, there isn't a lot of vacancies out there on planets that don't suck. Listen, as much as we are ruining this planet, the other planets come pre-ruined. There's no place else to go. So we're doomed. That's the good news today. All right, have a great day. We are doomed. Bye for now. Have a great night. Yeah. I need more coffee, man. I need more. I don't even want to do this, but I don't. You know why I'm here? I'm here because Lori was nice enough to send a Wednesday clip. She's consistent and improving with every week that she's doing stuff. I gotta not comment on Lori's videos because last week I made a comment about a joke she made about putting your hands out of a moving vehicle or something, and I was telling a story about a kid in my elementary school, junior high school, who well, let's just say I was telling a story that was not a pretty story, and then she wanted to take that joke out because of shit I said. So I got to stop talking. Basically, I just got to sit here and just laugh, or not laugh, but just not comment. That's what I have to do because we can't have her taking or thinking that my comments are worth changing your act over. My comments mean nothing. I am nobody. I know nothing. I'm like Sergeant Schultz and Hogan Hero. I know nothing. Don't ever change your act because of Big Bad Broadcast made that mistake. They had me on. They were called bitchin' baby boomers. And they had me on, and I was giving them some flack about the name baby boomers. They're like, you're not going to turn a lot of people off. People hate boomers. You've got boomers in your name. And then they went and changed the name of their brand because of something I said. That's a mistake. Don't ever listen to me. I'm just being stupid. Whatever comes out of my mouth, disregard it completely. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for you to tune in, listen to me, and disregard everything I say. Forget about it. You're probably wondering, if you're just tuning in right now, you see we got a bunch of new people, and I guess that's a LinkedIn chat room. What is that, LinkedIn? You see me wearing a coat, and you probably, if you're in someplace where it's 1,000,000,000 degrees right now, you're like, what the is this guy wearing a jacket for? Because it's cold here. Cold. It's a little chilly this morning. Let me get to the temperature here in New York, where I am, in Long Island, New York. Weather, I can't find it. I could never find the app when I'm looking for it. It's warming up. See, it's 61 right now. 61 degrees. I guess that means I could take the jacket off, right? Look at this. He's getting sexy. Anyway. Oh, yeah, that's much better now with the jacket off. Got the windows open, turned off the AC for the first time since June. And looks like fall is we're gonna have a nice fall up here, but probably gonna have a lot of hurricanes. Now, ooh, it's a little hot in here now. The jacket made me hot. Anyway, yeah. So people in LA have had a earthquake this week, and 12 years ago today, in Riverhead, New York, I experienced my first earthquake here on Long Island. I was actually in Hair Designer TV Studios, which is like an gigantic old barn. And I was sitting there, we were getting ready for a shoot, and all of a sudden, the columns that hold up the barn started doing this right in front of my face. I was like, am I fucking hallucinating or what? I've never seen that before. I'm not an LA guy. I had been through earthquakes in LA, but I was outdoors and didn't see shit like that happening. But I was like, oh my God, I think I'm stoned. I think I'm tripping on LSD or something, having a flashback. And I started calling out the people who were in the studio in different rooms. I'm saying, is anybody seeing this crap? And they were like, whoa, did you feel that? I was like, feel it. I watched it. We're not used to earthquakes here. And that was a pretty scary event 12 years ago today. So, the more I think about how things are just spiraling out of control on this planet, maybe I want to go with India to the next moon landing. Today, our buddy Rudy, the hair dye fart man, Giuliani, is going to get arrested. He's going down to Georgia to get. Devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a cell to sleep in. So he's going down to get busted. I hope it's covered on television. Now, I don't even have a television, but I mean, I hope there's video of it. So somebody posted on YouTube or wherever. I want to see how some of these guys handle it, because in the right-wing pundit sphere, they are floating this idea that Trump, when he gets arrested tomorrow, he's going down there to get arrested tomorrow. And God, there better be video on that. If there's not video on that, I give up. I'm going to the moon with India. They're floating this idea that he should not pay his bond, his $200,000 bond that is what has been posted, and he should sit in jail just to prove a point. Not post anything, just sit in jail. They think that Trump could handle sitting in jail. They think he can handle being fingerprint. When they go to fingerprint him, he's going to get fucking psychotic and crazy and start yelling at people and pulling back and and doing tantrums. It will be a joy to watch for those of us who despise the fucking fool. It would be a joy to watch if there's video on it. Now, I think eventually there's going to be video in the courtroom. It's not looking good for Mr. Trump. If you're a Trump supporter and you love him and you just want to suck his orange little dick so bad, you need it. You need that little orange Kool-Aid. I hate to spoil it for you, but he's going to jail. Yesterday, one of his main guys flipped on him. One of his main guys, and it not only just flipped on him, but illustrated a pattern that we discovered back when Cassidy Hutchinson, who will someday, mark my words, long after I'm gone, be immortalized far beyond the Dolly Madison status of lady heroes who saved America. Cassidy Hutchinson there'll be not just a stamp. It'd be like, everything is named Kennedy in America. Kennedy High School, Kennedy Airport, Kennedy fucking colonoscopy clinic, Kennedy everything. There will be a Cassidy Hutchinson everything. Cassidy Hutchinson High School, Cassidy Hutchinson Museum. Because she was the first one to say, I'm going to ditch Trump's lawyer. Trump is paying for her lawyer and saying, just lie. Just lie. And then somewhere along the line, she said, no, I'm not. This is a conflict of interest. I'm going to get my own lawyer. She was urged to get her own lawyer. And her own lawyer said, no, tell the truth. And it was damning truth. It was truth that Trump came out of a meeting and told Mark Meadows, we got to do something. It was... he was saying, we can't let them know what we lost. We can't let them know we lost. This direct quote from Donald Trump to his chief of staff. This is in December. It was a Christmas party in December of 2020. He knew he lost. He was planning the January 6th thing. And we got to do something. They were getting desperate. We can't let them know we lost. This is embarrassing. That was what happened with Cassidy Hutchinson. Now, the guy yesterday, IT guy, the obstruction of justice case there, destroying the server, flooding the room, and all that guy. That guy had a lawyer paid for by Trump, and he was telling stories. I don't remember any conversation about that. Everybody knew it was lying. He switched lawyers, and the lawyer told him to tell the truth, and now he's like, yeah, Trump said he wanted the shit destroyed. He didn't want Congress getting that stuff. It was damning evidence. Your boy's going away. I'm sorry, Jim Jones fan club. Your boy is going away. Cry me a river. You did this to yourself. And, you go down the road of worshiping false idols. Bible talks about where you wear a mark on your head. The mark of the beast is that fucking red cap that says MAGA on it. If you want to get biblical. And I know you do. You want to you want me to take a biblical citizenship test. So you want to get biblical. Let's get biblical. The mark of the beast, the hat, is the mark of the beast you wear on your head. Yeah, there you go. I'm just being silly with that shit. But, and of course I haven't slept well. And I'll go back to the beginning here. Don't fucking take anything I say too seriously. But your boy is going to jail. Your boy is going to jail, and he's not going to handle it well. And for those people who are saying he should just not pay the bond and purposely get himself thrown in the slammer, he can't handle that. Dolly Madison was not a hero of the revolution, Ian. She was a hero of the War of 1812. But, okay, close enough. Within a 40-year span. Good morning, Ian, by the way. And good morning, Craig. What are you doing up so early over there? Craig is commenting on me talking about the brand of bitchin' baby boomers and and getting them to change the name to Big Bad Broadcast, which was not intentional. I was just busting balls, is what I do. And I had no idea they were going to take what I said to heart. The reason I even said it, I remember thinking they had the name Boomers in it, and they were on Facebook, and there were a lot of people, still are a lot of people, who are abandoning Facebook because it's full of boomers. Nobody likes boomers. I'm not I'm not a I'm not a big fan of boomers myself, even though I am one. But there are, if I'm going to be completely serious about that, there are two kind of factions of boomers. There are the late boomers and the early boomers, not bloomers, boomers. People born between 1945 and 1955 are very different from people who were born 1956 to 1964. Very different in attitude, different people. Anyway, the point I was saying, because I brought this up because Lori last week was going to take a joke out of the piece that she was doing because of something stupid I said about it. Now, when it comes to comedy, don't base what your actions on anything I say. Just take everything I say with a grain of salt. Uh, Mets lost to the Braves last night, 3-2. And I was looking through again. My Facebook memories having me busting balls on the Mets. Mets were up 2 games at this point last year, and I was saying, "Well, but September's coming." They were up 2 games over the Braves, and then September's coming. They're gonna blow it. Oh man, there's like a bunch of comments on that, hate from the Met fans, and I was right. I was right. Listen, pat myself on the back. I could break my arm patting myself on the back. I'm not happy about it. This is the thing that people need to understand. I would love the Mets to prove me wrong. But last night, and this has been going on for like 3 years now, maybe 2 years. All the teams in both leagues want to throw at the Mets. Throw at them. Pete Alonso, who is arguably the Mets' best player, gets nailed between the he gets nailed right in the middle of the back, but up here, like collarbone. Oh, it hurts. I'm looking at the video right now. Ouch. But obviously purposely thrown. You don't hit a guy in the middle of his back unless you're throwing at him. And they never retaliate. Because if you retaliate, you're going to get your pitcher thrown out of the game. Your manager's probably going to get suspended or something like that. It's worth it. I would, if this was me and I was Buck Showalter, first of all, I changed my name to $100 Showalter. I don't want to be just $1. But I would tell my pitcher, throw at his face, break his face, throw as hard as you can right at his face. If you miss, go again. Don't even wait for him to get back in the batter's box. Just take another ball and throw it at his face. Ugh. That's what you got to do. It'll cost you. But at some point, you got to stop being a fucking patsy and just standing up there and taking it. I mean, the Mets are acting like they want to be Jesus. They want to turn the other cheek every time they get hit. And the league has them marked as a bunch of pussies. Or the manager's a pussy. I'm sorry. Am I getting excited? I probably am getting a little excited, aren't I? I got to calm down. Let me get some cold coffee in me. Maybe that'll calm me down. Oh, I feel much better now. So yeah, I guess we're gonna have Rudy get down and get arrested today. We're gonna have Trump get arrested tomorrow, and MAGA's gonna lose this shit. Now, MAGA is already losing this shit over what they're claiming or predicting is a new mask mandate. I don't remember an old mask mandate. Do you remember an old mask mandate? Now there were places that had mandates on them. There were industries that had, but there was no federal mask. You got to wear a mask. Maybe there was. I don't remember it. Where you were allowed to go out without a mask. You were allowed to do whatever you want. You couldn't go into a store that asked you not to. People did anyway, and they were asked to leave. And of course, that's not a mask mandate. A mask mandate is the government telling you got to wear a mask wherever you go. That wasn't happening. There were certain businesses that did. And my position on that, if it happens again, it's going to be the same thing. You have the opportunity or the choice not to go into a business that is making you wear a mask. You don't have to do it. You don't have to patronize them. You don't have to go in it. If somebody's telling you to wear a mask or you can't come in the building, if you don't want to wear a mask, just don't go in the building. That's pretty simple. You don't need to cause a big protest over it or whatever the fuck you do. Anyway, if you're guessing now, or you're just showing up and you're saying, this seems like the same fucking shit every day with this guy. Yeah, well, not the same shit. Yesterday I had comedian Paul P. By the way, Paul P's got 3 shows this weekend. If you're in Indiana, check them out. I posted them on all the social medias. 3 shows, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Paul P is he's part of the team. He's part of the people, the comedians that I am very. I have a stake in seeing them succeed, and he's just he was a finalist in the Indianapolis funniest competition, and good things that happen with Paul P. So I had him on yesterday, and Andrew Colin Coninger. Man, I'll just go shoot myself. How about that? Because I can't talk. I can't think. I can't talk, and I haven't slept well. But so yesterday was one of these shows, and Friday I have the filmmakers Condition of Return, a new film starring Dean Cain and Nastasia Hensberg or something. And you know who I'm talking about. What's her name? Natasha. I can't. You know me. I'm not fucking hip with the Natasha Henstridge. Yeah, Natasha Henstridge. She plays the devil in this movie. It's a Dean Cain movie. Dean Cain, at one point, decided, or Henstridge. Yeah, that's what I said. Natasha Henstridge and Dean Cain. Now, Dean Cain is a far right guy in the mold of like the Scott Baio, the Kevin Sorbo. Think they need to be Christian fascist MAGA mouthpieces. It's kind of like Marjorie Taylor Greene with a dick, and she might actually have a dick. So maybe it's just like Marjorie Taylor Greene with darker hair, shorter, darker hair. But that's what Dean Cain has been, and so not a fan of Dean Cain anymore. Obviously, once you go over to the dark side, deep into the dark side, not a fan of Dean Cain. But the movie makers will be here, the filmmakers, for Condition of Return. And this is a movie, that vaguely masks its MAGA intent. Like, it's a Sound of Freedom propaganda piece. It's a Christo-fascist piece that is meant, a propaganda piece. That's what it's meant to be. To get us all into this, like the devil doesn't fucking exist. I don't care. All right, let's get into this fucking shit. You think there's a little guy, or maybe not little, maybe he's big in your mind. Satan. this red-tailed evil guy that lives in hell that is responsible for all the bad shit you do. So it kind of absolves you of responsibility for the bad shit you do. You blame it on the devil. Devil doesn't exist. But so this movie is about how the devil is running rampant, especially here in America. Pardon me, the allergies are starting to kick in. But so the devil is running loose in America, and this is why trans people are, and I got a dose of this last night, trans people are reading books to kids on behalf of the devil. The devil actually wrote the books that the trans people are reading to your kids uh, to, I don't know, indoctrinate them. Listen, you talk about indoctrination. You know who's doing that? You know who's indoctrinating your kids? Your fucking priest, your pastor. You know. Anyway, the devil doesn't exist. But is a, I don't know if they believe it. I don't know if they believe it. But they sure act like they really believe it. That group of religious right-wing nuts that want America. Again, we were founded on the idea of freedom of religion, and that also means freedom from religion. They want us all to be Christian. I don't want to, and I have a show on this tonight, by the way, 8 p.m. tonight. Perry Williams, Francis Perry Williams, will be my guest. He's written a book called Saving Jesus, and I'm going to get it. I'm going to get converted, or at least attempted to be converted tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Maybe you want to watch that. Maybe you want to join the chat room. Maybe you want to be offer your insights and opinions to the whole thing. But I want to be clear. Being an agnostic, I'm not saying there is no God. I'm just saying you're or devil. Well, I am saying there is no devil. I'm saying flat out saying there's no Easter Bunny and there's no fucking Satan. Okay, if you want to argue with me like about that, argue with me. Don't vote for me if you're in Congressional District 3 and it pisses you off that I say there's no devil and there's no Easter Bunny. I would, if I had to choose Easter Bunny or devil, I'd say it's more likely there's an Easter Bunny than the devil. And I don't think there's an Easter Bunny. But, the Easter Bunny has landed on the moon with a bunch of Indians. And I don't. Anyway, so I'm not saying there is no God. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying your crazy, ridiculous idea of what God is. It's just too far out there for me. A bridge too far for me. You want me to believe that there's this man in the sky, lives on the cloud somewhere or up in heaven, something that exists in the sky. Although we can shoot rockets that way all day, we don't crash into him. He's invisible. He's in the sky. But he looks like your grandfather if you're a white guy. But he looks more like Leland Sklar, the bass player with the big white beard, or David Letterman. That's what he looks like. That's what God looks like to these people. And he lives up there, and he loves you unconditionally unless you break the condition of not worshiping or not believing or whatever. But he made you in his image and gave you free will to do things he doesn't want you to do so he can punish you for them. So wait, Carl's saying, but he created only black people. Who, God, the old grandpa in the sky? Not only black people. Did he have a fetish? He might have. But okay, but he loves you, and here's the thing: you need to be saved. You need to be saved by believing that Jesus was his son. And if you don't believe that Jesus was his son, you're going to hell. But he gave you free will to make this choice and to kind of use reason and logic And if you don't believe it, he's so fucking angry at you. Why does he need you to believe? Listen, think about this logically. And then this is God you're talking about. God, better than you, better than me. If you know something to be true and somebody doesn't believe it, but it's definitely true, you know for a fact it's true, do you really give a fuck if they believe it or not? Do you hate them for not believing? I hate you for not believing it. This is what they're telling us that Jesus and God, they're the same thing, but they're not the same thing. I got questions for the guy tonight, and I'm probably not going to handle it well. If you watched me with Prophet Dave the Prophet, trying to deal with that conversation, when Dave was going to prove to me the existence of God by the Bible, and I was trying to explain to him, you can't use the Bible to explain the existence of God, because anybody who believes in the Bible already believes in the God. And if you don't believe in the Bible, you're rejecting, none of that proof matters anyway. That was a difficult conversation. Going to have another one of those tonight. But I promise you, I don't know if there is a God or not, or a creator, something out there that might have created. I will leave my mind open to that. Possible. I don't think that's the case. I don't know what started life. I don't know what started the universe. I don't know any of that stuff. But I have a very strong feeling that your imagination and your fairy tale book is not representative of reality, because it doesn't make sense. That, again, you could just come down to God loves. He made us all right. He created us all, but we hate each other. God loves America. He's always on America's side. Well, why? Why? Why isn't he on Guatemala's side? What the fuck did the Guatemalans do to piss off God? And so, if that's your opinion now, if you think God hates the Guatemalans for not loving God enough, because there are religious people in Guatemala, but you should be open to the immigration from Guatemala so they can come to America and be in the place that God loves. But no, that's inconsistent, right? They don't want the immigrants coming here. But this is God's favorite country. This is where Carl comes to go to the desert and sleep in his car, which I don't think he should do, by the way. I think, get a room in the Shady Dell. Or there's no room at the Dell? Anyway, Guatemalans, God doesn't hate the Guatemalans. He's not going to destroy Guatemala. What was the last time Guatemala had a hurricane earthquake? No, he hates L.A. Ah, now we're on to something. Or we're on something. See, I knew I should have just slept today. I should have just slept right through this. You know what? I should play Lori's piece so I can get a fresh perspective. I think Lori went to the movies. But it's on the bomb, on Barbie and Ken, Oppenheimer, blowing shit up, nuclear energy, all of that. That's what Lori is bringing us today. You know what? I'm going to try not to say anything about the bit, because if I do, she's probably going to want to change or remove or improve a bit on something I said, and that will ruin her act. If you're in comedy, take no advice from me. None. Zero. Anyway, this is Lori's piece. I'm happy she continued to do this on a regular basis. Listen, Vinny tried this man on the street thing. I know he's doing another one in Montreal, plans on doing it. But few and far between. Donna Shannon's weekly thing has been not all that consistent. Lori's been very consistent, and we appreciate it. And I hope you will support her. You go to Lori S. Strikingly Hilarious. Find her on Facebook. Let's watch her piece together right now. It's 1 minute and 20 seconds. I'm just going to grab some coffee. I actually watched the piece, but I'll come back. And I won't say anything about it. I won't comment on it. I'm already commenting on it. Anyway, enjoy this.
Hi, this is Lori S. Strikingly Hilarious with another episode of Weirderful Wednesdays. I recently saw the Barbie movie. You know why Barbie and Ken never got married? Because Ken can't get on bended knee to propose. I also saw the Oppenheimer movie. It was da bomb. It seems like when they set the first atomic bomb off, it was shocking to everyone. You know why they called the site Trinity where they set the bomb off? That was because if something went wrong, they could do the sign of the cross, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. It reminds me of my recent tour of the Palo Verde nuclear plant last spring. I really got a charge out of it. I give it a glowing report. Security was tight. There were no leaks there. They're trying to find people to hire to work there, but I guess you just can't generate a spark in everyone. I try to get people I know interested in fission, but I can get no reaction. That's all for now. Thanks. Bye.
Is the bomb. You know, in my my Facebook memories this morning, I wanted to repost that picture. I don't know why I didn't, but there's a photo from History and Pictures, Nevada test site, and people are in the pool, public pool, and they're looking over at the nuclear, a mushroom cloud from a nuclear bomb test, an atom bomb test. They're just sitting there waiting for wait are Tom Kanopka and Dice Clay in this crowd? What crowd? Is there a crowd? I don't see any. Oh, canned laughter really makes it. Well, I agree. The canned laughter. I really shouldn't comment on it because I put the canned laughter in. She doesn't deliver the pieces with the canned laughter on it, but it feels dry. It's hard to do comedy, and just tell jokes, and have empty, dead space. And I felt like, you know what? Sometimes, yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I think, because I watch a lot of specials, I think, and they're better canned laughter than that. I think a lot of comedy specials you see, even from the big names, and I'm not going to mention them, have canned laughter in the edits. Because I recognize some of the laughter, because there are stock tracks you get with the laughter sound effects you can get, or you can get, and some of them I have that come with different sound libraries that I have, and you recognize the patterns and the voices in them. There are definitely some stars in comedy that are bolstering up um, the soundtrack, the laughter soundtrack. Ian brings up Brendan Schaub. I got to tell you, I feel bad for Brendan Schaub. I don't know him. I've never been a fan of his. I've never seen any of his comedy, but the extent to which YouTubers who are fans of comedy and fans of podcasts beat this guy up every single day, call him a no talent idiot. He's got hit in the head too many times. Maybe if it were me, I'd probably just go away and hide under a rock from all the abuse. But it's difficult. Yeah, you got to remember. In one of the pieces I saw where they were just bashing him, he talks about his family's reaction to some of the stuff. And you got to remember, the guy's a human being at some point. If you don't like him, just don't watch him. Don't go to his show. You don't need to constantly say he's not talented. He might not be talented. He might not. He definitely has not put in the work of a comedian. If you can't start out famous and think you're going to be a comedian, I know it's different for like Bernie Williams, who was famous for being an athlete, and then Paul just started doing music, and he was really good and got the notoriety for it. Comedy is different. You have to start at the open mic level, no matter who you are. You got to put in your dues. You got to put in your work. You can't just say, I'm famous for being a fighter, and I'm going to give up the fighting career and go make people laugh and sell out stadium and go with, headliners or stuff like that and open up for them on that level, not having done the work. It's like me. That would be like me going up and opening for Louis C.K. tomorrow. Now, I probably ask him how you get the ladies to watch you jerk off, because that's my thing too. I want to say, dear ladies, watch me jerk off. I'm kidding. There's nothing to watch. There's nothing to jerk. There's nothing to off. But because if I were to go open for Louis C.K. right now, I would suck. I would probably get my ass thrown out or burned, set on fire. Get out of here, you unfunny fuck. This is what Brendan Schaub was attempting to do, like go in at the highest level, not having ever paid your dues, not ever having started at the open mic level. And listen, I've been shy about talking about this, but this is something I know about recently. I'm just going to say that. Put that out there. I know about bombing at the open mic level now. I know I know what it takes, and I'm not willing to do what it takes. But everybody's got to start that level. It's not like, I'm trying to think of other examples besides Bernie Williams, but there have been people who have extraordinary music talent, and they've studied the craft, but they're famous for something else. And then when you see them play, you're like, wow, I didn't know he had that kind of skill, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, but to see Brendan Schaub is one of the I don't know, pinatas of YouTube. If you wanna go viral, you want to have a YouTube video that gets lots of views, all you need to do is put Brendan Schaub sucks. Why Brendan Schaub is the most hated man in show business. Why Brendan Schaub is not a good comedian. Any of those kind of titles, and then talk about Brendan Schaub. Why? Why does that matter so much? Just let him go. And some people, they go to the point where it just came up with canned laughter, but also the fact that he's buying his own tickets because he's embarrassed. He's embarrassed. This is a rumor. Now, I don't know this is true. I put that out there. I don't know any of this is true. But the YouTubers that hate him claim that he's buying his own tickets just to make it look like it's selling out. And then those people mysteriously don't show up. If that's happening, that's, I feel bad for the guy. That's all I'm saying. I feel bad for the guy. But there is this whole industry that is created around the Brendan Schaub hate stuff, and now it's expanding. I have become a fan of a podcast, fairly new podcast. It's only got like 4,000 subscribers so far, called Podcast Cringe. I think the guy's Australian. Somebody listen to his accent and tell me, is it Australian or is it something else? And somebody will probably call. Will be, oh, you fucking idiot! It's Liverpool. No, I think it's Australian. All right, and if you know what, you want to call me an idiot for getting it wrong? All right, I'm wrong. I'm an idiot. I don't know my Anglo accents that well, but it sounds Australian to me. Anyway, the guy is pretty fair. Podcast Cringe is what it's called. What is Ian saying? I can't see, man. My eyes is podcast. Wait, Podcast Cringe is a British. All right, so I'm a fucking idiot. I said that. You think he's British? Because he sounds Australian to me. I don't know. He sounds like my friend Dean Powder who's from Brisbane is what I call it. Anyway, and he lets me call it Brisbane. Just checked. Sounds Australian. See? See, Carl is on my fucking. I got it backwards. Ian's the one calling me the idiot, and Carl is taking my side. Maybe Carl wants to rethink that. Trust Carlito. Carlito. Oh, yeah, I forgot about Carl being Carlito. I think Carlton the doorman. Anyway, um, so yeah, where was I going? Oh, there's this whole, but the podcast cringe stuff is really, it's fair and honest, and he did this. He did a couple of pieces that really interest me. The one where he was saying that Jerry Seinfeld hates Joe Rogan, and he made a case for that, and he doesn't know that for a fact, but he made a case for it, uh, based on his evidence of this stuff. The guy watches a lot of, and this is. I'm surprised there are so many people who spend so many hours each day listening to every fucking comedy podcast that's out there. And I think there are too many. But he brought up one the other day. Girl, I forget the girl's name. You probably know better than me if you're out there and you're want to help. Some woman who had a TikTok thing. She's kind of cute. She had a TikTok thing about being an awkward mom. Now, she's married to a guy who is a best-selling author. It's not like she was poor, but she started a podcast 6 months ago. It's, according to Podcast Cringe, man, my eyes are going. According to Podcast Cringe, it's the number 2 comedy podcast in the world, on both Apple and Spotify. They can't go down all the platforms and do that kind of equivalence. But she's number 2 on both of those in comedy podcasts. What she's doing is just begging for money, begging rich celebrities for money because she wants to get rich. And she has no real talent. Again, she's kind of cute, but she's getting these celebrities to come over and get in bed with her, full clothes, one side of, and she does a podcast from the bed, or she do it from the floor. She's done one with Mark Cuban that it was really kind of gross because they were both sitting on the floor, and Mark Cuban's ugly, dirty feet is pointing right at the camera. But all she's doing is fucking begging him for money. And she had a podcast for 6 months, and it's number 2. It's getting millions and millions of views. People are watching that. And the point he was making was we've reached the point of podcast singularity where, the whole world has become a podcast. Everybody has one. At some point, celebrities getting in on podcasting lended credibility to the whole. Oh, I'm hitting shit. To the whole podcasting platform type of thing, because celebrities didn't need podcasting. They could have television shows, actual television shows, but eventually and radio shows. But at some point, they all decided podcasting was easier, keep all the profits for themselves. But now we've got so many, and they're all the same. They're all really no topic, not really an interview type of thing. There are interview things, but I'm talking about the ones that are the drunken bro hangout type of thing, where it's just 4 comedians just sitting around. What are we going to talk about? Who the fuck cares? We're just, whatever comes up. Kind of like what I've been doing here by myself without 3 comedians to talk to. But this is not what I prefer. I would love to have my guest that I had planned on having today to talk to them. Or like even tonight, and have somebody try to convince me to be a Christian. Those kind of shows, I think that adds some value. Whether you agree or not, I don't really care. Because what the fuck? Anyway, I do think we've become oversaturated with podcasts, but now we have an industry of podcast watchers doing YouTube videos about podcasts. What's next? We're going to have YouTubers talking about podcasts or YouTubers that talk about podcasts. So YouTubers talking about YouTubers who talk about podcasts. I guess we are. You're talking about podcast cringe. I think it's a good one. And this is where Brendan Schaub ties into this whole thing, because universally, I think there hasn't been one I haven't seen one. It would be good to see, if I could find one. Somebody supportive of Brendan Schaub. Somebody saying they actually like him. There's not one out there. Just like I can't find anybody. You know what? This is a challenge. This is a challenge for all of you. Find somebody who says Joe Rogan is funny as a stand-up. There are people who say he's funny naturally in conversation in the podcast. But find somebody who says he's funny in stand-up. Just like that, there's nobody who's saying Brendan Schaub is either funny in stand-up or provides anything of value in his podcast. Now, Brian Callen is a fucking despicable fucking loser. Brian Callen, who is Steven Crowder's butt boy now, and takes a ass kicking from Steven Crowder and a dick in the face from Steven Crowder, if we're being honest here. Steven Crowder sticks his dick in Brian Callen's face, and Brian Callen accepts it and signs an NDA not to talk about it. But Brian Callen is the co-host of The Fighter and the Kid with Brendan Schaub. And Brendan Schaub is thinking about going back into the ring and fighting. And Callen is trying to talk him into it. And Rogan is saying that's a mistake. He's going to lose his fucking brain. He's going to listen. For all I bash Rogan, I think he knows about MMA, and I think he knows he's a good predictor of fight outcomes and who can fight and who can't fight. And he was the guy to convince Brendan Schaub to stop fighting. And Brian Callen is trying to convince him to go back into it. And Rogan is like, why are you doing that? And Callen is brazenly and just openly saying about the check. It's about the money. Now, supposedly this guy is his good friend that he's co-hosting with, and he's telling him he's going to be in his corner and trying to convince him to do it. But he knows that it's going to lead to Parkinson's, probably early dementia, all that kind of stuff. Your friends don't sell you out to take another concussion, another really bad concussion, possibly death inside a ring for money. This is Brian Callen. Brian Callen is a suck up to Steven Crowder who will sell his best friend out to brain damage for a couple of shekels. Fuck Brian Callen. I mean, there are so many reasons not to like Brian Callen as a person. I've never seen his comedy. I don't know if he's funny or not. But as a person, he's fucking the lowest of low. And, this goes back to the conversations that I had about Will. When, if somebody you care about, you really care about them. Oh, there goes Jordan. Jordan shows up every morning now. If you really care about somebody, you don't let them walk head on into an oncoming train. You don't encourage that, and if especially for money, you're gonna let your friend get Parkinson's. If you're on the radio side, you didn't see. I just did my best Parkinson's imitation, which is terrible. Yeah, I'm a terrible person. I'm going to hell. But when I get there, there will be no devil. Unless it's Carl. Carl might be there waiting for me when I get there. And that would fucking suck. Because he's younger than me. So what's he doing down there? I mean, why is it down there? You would think, I don't know. Anyway, I am going to hell. We know that. No, I wrote a screenplay about a guy who's his best friend was the devil, and there's a song that goes with it too called Nightmares. I should play Nightmares because it's about that. It's about a guy who was he was a drug addict and somebody who wasted a lot of his talent and time and overdosed and went to hell. At least thought he was going to hell on his overdose trip, but it turned out he was just dreaming. But in the when he gets to hell, the devil, Satan, who doesn't exist. I'm going to tell you that again. The devil does not exist, except in this movie we're going to be talking about on Friday. The the devil was his best friend. So that was, used a lot of cliches in the screenplay, dream sequence, and all that kind of stuff. I know I'm a weak writer. What can I tell you? Anyway, speaking of movies, so we're having Condition of Return, starring Dean Kaye and Natasha Henstridge as the devil. We'll be talking about that on Friday with the filmmakers. I also have invited what's his name? Sam Lipman Stern, who is the creator of Telemarketers series on HBO, which is about the most corrupt, and I don't know if it's they say the most corrupt telemarketing scam ever in the history of telemarketing scam. I just want to be clear about it, and it's a fascinating. If you haven't seen it, first of all, there's only 2 episodes out now. I don't know how many episodes there are in total. I've watched the 2 episodes. Fascinating stuff. Um, it's fascinating on a lot of levels because the story itself about this corrupt boiler room full of junkies and convicts and murderers who are working for $10 an hour for this scam and working hard because the company lets them do drugs and murder and rape and all this stuff on the job. You can come here and do whatever you want. You get drunk, you can shoot up heroin at your desk, as long as you're making those calls and getting money. And the calls they were making were scam calls, pretending to be police organizations looking for charitable donations, and they were just keeping all the fucking money. And then they branched out from police to firemen, and Carl would hate that. Fucking raising money for firemen, those lazy fucks. But then they cancer victims, all that kind of stuff. And just like raising money off of, and guilt and fear and shame and all that stuff. And then when they find people, they just keep bleeding them dry. They call you every 3 months for more, and they intimidate you. Anyway, it's interesting on that level, but it's also interesting on watching this kid who was a dropout, high school dropout in 9th grade, beginning of high school, dropped out to go work for them, to become a documentary filmmaker. And he didn't know what he was doing at the time. He was just bringing his video camera to work to show all these fucking junkies and people doing whatever they do on the job. Fucking crazy shit. But how poor his documentary skills were, and the guy who we partnered with, who was going to be doing the interviews, this guy was just like a total, and he's a likable guy, and he was supposedly a legend in the fundraising scam phone call stuff. He was good at his job, but he's not a good interviewer. And it's clear that when he gets in front of the people he's trying to nail on this shit, he has no fucking clue what he's talking about. And it's interesting on that level to watch how this kid grew from a kid trying to make a documentary with a guy who was not a good on camera interviewer at all. To say he's not good, he's terrible. He's the worst, the absolutely worst. And it's laughable how bad he was at that job. And my favorite line, I hate to be a spoiler about this, my favorite line from the second episode is when Sam Lipman Stern is talking about this guy Pat J. Pespis, who was the legendary fundraiser telemarketer. He said about the interviewing stuff. He said it never occurred to me that Pat might really suck at this. It's pretty obvious when you see the clips. Pat really sucks at that. He has no idea how to do an interview, and he has no listening skills. Like, he's interviewing a guy, and while the guy's talking, he's looking at his phone and saying, yeah, and like not even listening to any of it. All right, that's good. We got it. We didn't get nothing. You didn't fucking illuminate anything in that fucking interview. Anyway, looking forward to the rest of that. Stanhope had mentioned that he wanted Tom Konopka to see it because they have roots in in fraudulent telemarketing business. So that's how I got interested. And then when I saw it, I was hooked. And now I've invited Sam Lipman Stern to be on the program. And it looks like we might get him on. Maybe, I don't know. It's probably a little too aggressive to say he might be on tomorrow. Probably not. Probably not, but might. Anyway, I think um, the takeaway here is that, and it's really hard to wrap your head around this whole thing. Not because I'm going to sound like I'm defending this shit. I'm not. But not all telemarketers are crooks. Some of them are just people trying to make a living selling actual real goods and services. They're not, but fundraising. You have to make a distinction between people that are selling you a service, solar panels, calling to sell you solar panels. Now, it might be a bad deal. It might not be, they might be a little pushy. It might be a little too salesy, or whatever criticism you can have of those people. They're not criminals. They're actually trying to sell you a real service or a real product. And then you have the fundraising thing. And the fundraising thing, no matter what it's for, don't ever give money to a stranger on the phone. That's the lesson here. You really want me to donate to a charity? Tell me where to go. I want to come to your office. I want to see your office. I want to see who's running the fucking company. I want to see that it's a real LLC and a nonprofit. And I want to talk to your boss. I want to see that it's legit. Tell me where to go. And if you ask them that, they'll hang up on you because they don't want you to come there. No, they want to get your credit card, or they want you to send a check, but preferably a credit card or Venmo or whatever. Send me the money right now. Don't ever give money to a stranger who you've never met who calls you up asking for money. It's as simple as that. I'm all for giving to charity. I am. I mean, charity is an important part of us taking care of each other. No, don't you care? Carl's got it right. Don't you care about dying kids? No, I don't care about dying kids unless I can come there and see the kids die. Shh, can I come see a dying kid? I'll give the kid some money. But I'm not going to send it to some fucking voice over the phone, no matter how intimidating, how pushy you're getting. And here's the thing with the cop thing. They were actually sending, if you said no, they would threaten you. Well, we're going to come and arrest you. We're going to do an investigation on your whole family. And you get threatening phone calls from these people for simply not falling for their scam. But, and here's where you need to subscribe. And you don't have to subscribe to HBO, by the way. I will send you a link. If you want, ask me. Or, I don't want to post it. Send me for, because there were services where you can watch this thing totally free online. Which is what I did. I don't have HBO Max, and I'm not getting HBO Max. But here's where you got to watch this, because it gets deeper. It gets beyond all this shit. Because it turns out, and I haven't even really scratched the surface of thinking about where this actually leads to. But this is fucking huge. Because the guys who were running this scam kept getting caught. I mean, because you're going to get caught. People are going to say, I'm getting telemarketers and it's bogus shit and they're taking my money. And that's what happens. And they get a lot of complaints. And then the state investigates. They bring these guys into court. They give them a small fine, like $5,000 fine, $10,000 fine. I think the biggest one they paid was $35,000. Don't put them out of business. If they decide to go out of business, they just open up under another name and keep doing it. And it just perpetuates. And it's been going on at least as long as there have been phones. Now, it's got to be getting rougher because everybody's got caller ID on their cell phone or what, and but they got to be calling. I guess they're calling landlines. I don't know how they figure that out. But it's still around, and it's still making money. The thing is, there's a level where the police organizations and firemen organizations and all these charities are willingly playing along. There are kickbacks happening somewhere along the line because at some point, the Fraternal Order of Police okayed the corrupt telemarketers saying 100% of your donation goes to the charity that you're donating to, when none of it, zero, was going to it. So what are the Fraternal Order of Police getting out of this if they're allowing the people tell their marks that 100% is going to the charity and none of it's going to the charity? Little common sense here. The people who are okaying that, the officers at the top of the Fraternal Order of Police or whatever charities that are okaying this, they're getting kickbacks. They're getting big cash deliveries on a regular basis. That's why they're doing this. So the stinky levels of the onion start to peel, and it just keeps getting worse. There is a lot of corruption, and how deep that corruption goes, and who's involved in it. Are state elected officials, probably, definitely law enforcement and charity officials, people scamming LLCs and nonprofits. And they talk about how easy it is to set up a nonprofit and take donations for just about anything, and how impossible it is to enforce. Hey, Carl, if you're listening, how impossible it is to enforce that the donations are actually being used as they are solicited for and promised to be used for. Heavy stuff. Heavy stuff. They're robbing people with the permission of the government and state agencies and the charities, and nobody can do anything about it. I actually had a 401 whatever it was, nonprofit for musician support network back in like 2003, 2004, trying to set it. I was doing it as a legitimate thing, but it was very easy to set up a nonprofit. I could tell you that. It took me. I didn't have to get a lawyer. I didn't have to do anything. I basically had to fill out some papers, book full of forms and stuff like that, but had an LLC, and that meant I could take donations, and had to set up my own officers. And we never did get to the point of taking donations because nobody really, nobody was buying into the idea that it was for independent musicians who couldn't afford insurance. This would be way before Obamacare, obviously. Couldn't afford insurance, health insurance, and we would buy it in bulk. We would buy it as a group, as musicians support network, in order to make it affordable for people, and they didn't care. It turns out musicians don't fucking want to pay anything for health care. They'd rather just go to the emergency room and have the state pay for it. Anyway, that's how easy it is to set up an LLC. And I mean, a 401c, whatever it is, nonprofit, and start taking donations. And then you could do whatever the fuck you want with that money, and nobody really holds you accountable. I'm not suggesting that you do that. This is not me suggesting that you get involved in criminal activity. I'm just pointing out how fucking easy it is, simple and easy, if you're so inclined, and that nobody is holding those people accountable. This is Officer blah, 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 blah from the Fraternal Order of Police. How are you doing today? We're collecting money for the families of fallen officers. No, you're not. You're fucking putting that money in your pocket. You're giving it. And the thing is, and here's how it, yes, you can, Carl's right. You can do it legitimately and take large admin costs, but they were going beyond that. Like, it wasn't enough. That's how they started, by the way, this one company. They started saying that they were taking 90% admin costs and the charity would get 10%. And that's not, and at some point they said, fuck it. Why are we even giving them 10%? Let's just take it all. Nobody's fucking counting anyway. So they started legitimately taking a large admin fee, just like Carl just said. But at some point they said, fuck, we're taking it all. Nobody's fucking counting anyway. Nobody's holding us accountable. Human nature, probably, if I'm being honest, and I started that way and realized that nobody was counting the fucking money, I'd probably keep taking a little more, till eventually I was taking all of it. I got to be honest. I'm not saying I'm any better than these people. On a moral level, I don't think any of us are. We could all fall into this trap, but it's a ugly, 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 ugly fucking trap. Anyway, the other part of this is They hire, again, murderers, drug addicts, prostitutes, dropouts, high school dropouts. They hire people who can't get a job anywhere else, and they only pay them $10 an hour, but they let them do whatever they want. And the reason they go down that route is because they know those people can never rat them out. Those people can't leave. They can't get a job anyplace else. It becomes like indentured servitude. And they end up living there because $10 an hour. I mean, fuck, how do you make a living on $10 an hour? Well, the only way you can do it is to work 18 hours a day. And even that's $180 before taxes, right? That's not enough to live on in, in the land of the free and home of the poor. So that's what they do. They're working incredibly long hours, and the guy was making sales in a heroin-induced coma. Yeah, being on the phone doing the heroin sleep. Yeah, and still making sales. It's a fascinating thing. Watch it. Call telemarketers. If you need a link, I'll send you a link. Contact me directly. I'll send you a link to where you can watch it for free, so you can fuck HBO Max right where it hurts. All right. So I guess I'm gonna. Should I call it? I should play Nightmares before, and I'm not gonna play Turn on Your Radio when I leave here today. But I would appreciate it, and I know if you're on the other side of the pond there, or in different time zones, it could be a little difficult. But I could probably use some help tonight with the Saving Jesus conversation. Probably could use that, and then tomorrow night I have another spiritual leader. I don't, again, coincidence or not, I got two God people, Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday, the devil people. But they're also God people. They're using the devil to push me towards their God. I'm talking about the Dean Cain movie people. They are using the devil to scare me to Christianity, where these two people tonight and tomorrow night are using Jesus and love to entice me to accept Jesus or get or he'll kick my ass straight to fucking hell. I gotta love Jesus. I gotta tell him I love him all day long because he's a little insecure about that stuff. I gotta keep reminding him how much I praise Jesus, worship Jesus, tell him I love him. I love you, Jesus. I love you. Or he'll kick my ass straight to hell. So it should be an interesting 3 days in a row here. I thank you for joining me today and keeping me company while I caffeinate myself. Caffeinate? Is that a? Can I say caffeinate? Caffeinate. I said caffeinate. I don't know. I was all over the map today. I'm all over the map every day. So I'm not going to play Turn on Your Radio today. I'm going to play Nightmares, which is about the guy who goes to hell on a heroin overdose and meets his best friend, who is the devil down there. Anyway, that's the show for today. I hope it drove you crazy. I hope it made you angry at me. I hope you will watch Rudy getting booked today if it's available on video. Maybe he'll fart. Maybe his hair dye will run. Maybe he'll cry. It would be great to see one of these guys break down crying. Now, here's the other thing. I'm just pointing. Oh, look, I can point. A lot of these people, Trump ain't helping them with their bail. These are Trump's best friends who are going to flip on him, and Trump's not Mr. Billionaire. He's not helping out with, he's billionaire again. He's complaining he's got legal fees and all this stuff, not paying bail money for people who could flip on him. It's a little dangerous for a mob boss to play that game. Generally, and I have some expertise in this, not a ton of expertise, but generally, the mafia likes to bail out the people who could flip on them, just to get them home, go over to a house, pay them a visit, say, listen, if you flip, there's no witness protection program that's going to keep you hidden from us. At least, try to tamper with people. But for Trump to just kind of ignore the bail, putting himself in flip danger, flip jeopardy, as we call it. We don't call it that. Nobody calls it that. I just called it that because I'm an idiot. Anyway, this is called Nightmares. It's a song about going to hell. Go to hell. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
I've got a lot to say, but I got no one to say it to. I've got a lot to do, but I'm so tired and feeling blue. So for now, I think I'll call it a day and climb right back into bed and close my eyes, hide behind black curtains in my head. 'Cause all my dreams and nightmares, all my days are horror scenes, gothic melodramas from my darkest fantasies. But I wrote the screenplay, I know how the story ends, where the devil ends up being my best friend. I've got a life to live, and when my life is over, I'll have my head in shame, and for it all, I'll take the blame. But for now, I think I'll call it a day and climb right back into bed and close my eyes, hide behind black curtains in my head. 'Cause all my dreams and nightmares, all my days are horror scenes, gothic melodramas from my darkest fantasies. But I wrote the screenplay, I know how the story ends, where the devil ends up being my best friend. My soul's on fire, but I'm freezing cold. This lucid suffering is getting old, and all my dreams and nightmares, all my days are horror scenes, gothic melodramas from my darkest fantasies. But I wrote the screenplay, I know how the story ends, where the devil ends up being my best friend. Yeah, the devil ends up being my best friend.